In this video, I'm doing a marketing job for this third gen Dodge Ram with the V8 4x4 1500. We're gonna clean this thing up, spice it up, fix it up just a little bit, make it nice, make it sellable, and something to be proud of, get the client top dollar, and definitely check out the disaster detail that's gonna accompany this video. So we are back home at home in the garage, in the shop, and excuse the mess because I just got these lights put up, but there's all sorts of junk laying out everywhere. Anyway, here's the truck. So we have some dirt, some grime, some dents, some rust, some fun stuff. Lots of dirt on the mirror. These could use a polish. There's fading on the top. This could be repolished. Same with this headlight. The front doesn't look too bad. This is a little bit dented. There's nothing I can do about that. The paint quality on the hood is good. This wheel needs a deep clean, maybe some wheel acid to bring this back to life. You can see it's just caked on brake dust. We can get the brand off of these, leverage that. The tires are okay, not the greatest. Broken bit here, and not too bad otherwise. Couple dents down below, some aftermarket tail lights. This little piece here that hopefully I can sand, paint, and blend. And then we got some junk back here, but the real bad part is this is how they were gonna sell it. Oh, man. No offense, and never any offense to the client, because this is how my vehicles are a lot of the time, but there is just junk and trash and garbage all throughout here. Same within here. There used to be sub wires, no more subs, some drinks, some Uncrustables, whole bunch of bottles of water, just trash. Didn't take the time to clean it out. Former construction truck. The seat is in good shape. It's not that bad other than a little hole here and just very filthy, very dirty. But then this side, I mean, why is there a seat cover on here? And you can drop this back and that still even cleans it up a little bit. So we have just tons of dirt. We're gonna get this thing cleaned up, fixed up, marketed well, get the trim pieces back, put in. It's gonna be amazing. So, on to it. So I started off strong as can be with that intro, showing you the truck, and I didn't record too much specifically about the marketing. I was focused on the detailing video, didn't do as much of the marketing content, so I'll just tell you what I did, throw in some B-roll, and this is more like the breakdowns that I do for the course members in the marketing program. I always do debriefs after clients that I get. In the Arbitrage program, I do deal breakdowns of the vehicles that I get. So quick plug for that, shameless plug, it's linked down below if you want to start your own marketing business. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get to it. So the first thing that I did to the truck was take out all of the trash. It was filthy. Like I said earlier, it was a construction truck. And so it was used on the construction site. Trash was thrown in the back. It was smoked in heavily. The guy was a very avid smoker, I should say, and it had a strong pungent smell, which will come into play shortly. Anyway, I ended up taking out all of the trash, scrubbing the entire interior down, doing a lot of stain removal, and getting the truck just clean on the inside. Now this is going to massively boost the value because now instead of trash being thrown and schlown in there, it's actually pretty nice and it looks kept up with, well cared for. Now the only other thing in the interior specifically that I did was run my Ozone machine. So I have a Ozone machine, which if you're not familiar with what that is, it basically is a machine that you set in a vehicle and it converts the air and the smell in there from very strong pungent odor to basically a very neutral smell. Think of like a pool. What that smells like, just a very flat, neutral, sterile smell instead of a very strong smoky smell or body odor smell or whatever it is. Like I said just a second ago, this thing reeked of cigarette smoke. And so by eliminating that, by sucking that smell out with the ozone machine, we were able to add a lot of value to the truck there, because not everyone smokes. And nowadays, a lot of people vape or chew instead of smoking traditional cigarettes, and they don't really like that odor anyway. It's not a pleasing odor, so to get that out of there, to remove that smell, definitely boosts the value of the truck. Now onto the exterior, which didn't really get talked about in the detailing video. I didn't get too much content of working on the exterior. I did quite a few things. So number one was the wheel restoration with the wheel acid. You saw the one on the back was pretty clean, but then the front wheel was just covered in dirt and brake dust. So I was able to use some pretty high-powered chemical to get that wheel clean, and that really showed off the aftermarket wheels and made them pop. So that was number one. Number two was installing the driver's side mirror that was already included. So my client had already gone to a junkyard and picked up a mirror to include in the sale because his was broken off from the construction site, and he never cared to fix it. He never used it, but it looked pretty bad as you saw in the video. So by putting that on, installing it, I was able to make it look like, complete mirror. And then the next thing was a wash, just getting it clean. As you saw when I got the truck from the client, it was super dirty, just like lots of dirt, lots of road grime. It hadn't been washed in a while. So a simple wash just cleaned it up. Cleaned out the bed as well, cleaned off the wheels, cleaned off the wheel wells, and sprayed down the underside, which I guess I'll get into right now. I sprayed off the underside to showcase the fact that it's actually a really clean truck. If you're looking at other trucks of this year, of this generation, in the Midwest specifically, you see a lot of rust, which kind of stinks, but this one was shockingly clean. So I made sure to spray off the underside to A, get off any sort of salt or debris or stuff that would make it rust, but then B, to show off it's actually pretty clean. I took pictures of that as well to show like, hey, this truck isn't rusted out. It's valuable because of that. And I made sure to highlight that in the ad as well. And then I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I polished the headlights and polished the chrome on the front just to give it that pop. It's a black truck, and so when you have really glossy headlights that are restored, that looks a little bit better. And then having that chrome pop off of the black especially really helped on the value and presentation side of things. And then 3 more cosmetic upgrades or repairs that I did all go along together. So I want to give you the backstory. Like I said, it's a construction truck. He used it, he drove it on the construction site, so it got banged up, it got beat up, it got dents on the lower section and the lower portion, busted off the mirror on the driver's side. So all 3 of these things kind of go together, and I'll try to do my best to explain it. Number 1 was replacing the mirror on the driver's side, busted prior, so having one that was functional made it look a lot better. It got busted off at the construction site. It didn't matter to him, but to another buyer, it's really going to matter, not only in terms of function and being able to see out of that mirror, but then also saying, oh, he cared for it, oh, he neglected it, oh, it hasn't been wrecked. Another huge thing, and I would say this is probably the biggest extraction or creation of value, I should say, was sanding down the rust and then spraying the silver areas black. So I didn't talk about this at all up to this point, and I didn't talk about it in the detailing video, but one of the huge value adds was looking at it and saying, this is a black truck, but then it had this off silver at the bottom. It had black fender flares and black wheels with an accent of silver, but primarily all black. So the silver stripe on the bottom didn't really fit in. And then the biggest thing with this was there were dents. It was hit in that lower section by tools, by an excavator at one point. And so there was exposed metal that was starting to rust, and I'm sure I'll be clipping in parts of this, but there was starting to be some light rusting, surface rust on the bottom of the doors where it was silver, and then there were dents and impacts as well. And so I said, you know what, it would be very highly recommended that I sand this down and then spray it. I could use silver, it probably wouldn't look the best, but if we went with an undercoating, which is kind of a common look here, it would be really good. It would not only protect the paint, but it would bring everything to black. And since you have a black upper, gloss black upper, and then black wheels, I think it would tie it in well just to make the rest of the truck black. So I ended up doing that, sanded off all of the rust to protect it, and then also to make it look better so there's no more visible rust. There's no more rust on the truck because the underside isn't rusty. And then also with going with more of a matte undercoating, it minimizes the dents. Instead of having the high gloss, high contrast, very visible silver that your eye is getting drawn down to with the dents, you're instead having those minimized with more of a matte undercoating. And then the final thing was putting on some beefier, girthier fender flares. I think with the aftermarket wheels and with the exhaust that this thing had on it, to have a more aggressive, more bold fender flare, especially with the whole truck looking all black now, having a more popping fender flare, that would help in the value. And so I installed that as well, and I think it turned out great. And I really took this truck from an inexpensive, poor-looking, horribly marketed machine to something that someone would be proud to buy, something that represented what this truck was well, because ultimately it's a V8 4x4, not rusted out truck that was well maintained mechanically, just cosmetically it didn't present well. So by marketing it well, by detailing it, and by doing those small, inexpensive, strategic cosmetic upgrades, I was able to extract or create a lot of value for the truck and get paid proportionally to the value that I brought to the table for my client. So that's really it for this video. I think the results speak for themselves. It turned out incredibly. I was able to get in the thousands, I was able to get back for the client. And even though my fee, what I charged, was in the high hundreds, I definitely brought that back times some for the client. So it was a win-win-win. The end buyer got a better machine that they didn't have to put anything into. My client got so much more for their truck, and I was able to make a pretty hefty fee for just a really long day of work that was actually, it was over 2 days, but I could have gotten it done in 1 day if I was just adamantly going hard on that thing. And so that is the magic of having knowledge, having strategy, and having a skill set. And that's what I teach all of the students in the marketing program down below and the detailing program down below. So if you're interested in learning how to start a business where you're able to make hundreds, thousands of dollars by helping private party sellers sell their vehicle, then click the link down below to get started. I would love to support you. I would love to teach you everything that I know on how to run this business. All the trials and pitfalls and all of the lessons that I've learned along the way are in that program. So if you want to get started working for yourself, working from home, all you need really is a phone to start. You don't need to take on projects that are this intensive, but if you want to get started, that's linked down below. With that in mind, that is going to wrap up this video. So if you liked it, drop a like, drop a comment down below telling me what you thought. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. Check out the detailing video if you want to. And with that in mind, I will see you on the next one. Peace.